What if Plankton had never been born? The rivalry that shaped Mr. Krabs, his need to win, to protect his secrets, to prove his worth, doesn't exist. Without Plankton constantly plotting, there would be no need for Mr. Krabs to jealously guard his secret recipe with his life. No sneaky sabotage, no constant threat looming over him. But we already knew that. What we didn't notice is that Mr. Krabs only ever had Plankton as a friend. Or does he? Mr. Krabs once told SpongeBob that he and Plankton used to be best friends when they were kids. He explained how they shared good times together, but things changed when they started fighting over the Krabby Patty recipe, which eventually turned them into rivals.
There was a time when Plankton and I were best friends. Friends at birth, you might say. Even as wee ones.
Goo!
But with this rivalry non-existent, the once paranoid, obsessive Krabs, who spent sleepless nights holding off attacks on the Krusty Krab, now finds himself with more free time than he knows what to do with. And that's a dangerous thing for someone like him. The fire that once drove him to protect his secret formula at all costs has burned out. But don't mistake this for a peaceful retirement, because Mr. Krabs is still a chronic attention seeker. What's different now is that he no longer needs to work tirelessly to protect his success. Instead, he leans into his ego. He's not just the guy who owns the best restaurant in town. He's Bikini Bottom's coolest uncle. At least, that's what he wants everyone to think. Krabs throws over-the-top charity events, loudly claiming he's here to save Bikini Bottom. But from what, exactly? Nobody knows. All they see is a sea of inflatable Krabby Patties, his face plastered on every banner, and ridiculously expensive costumes that everyone has to wear, just so Krabs can pose for a picture. You can practically see his ego glowing brighter than the glittering chandeliers at his lavish parties. It's like Squidward's rival, Squilliam, but somehow more in your face. It's not just the cameras though. Krabs is getting desperate for praise. Sure, he's technically giving a ton of food, stacks of donations, but it's all just a show. He dumps massive piles of stuff no one even knows what to do with, hires a small army to clean up the beach, and slaps his face on everything. It's like he's more obsessed with being the hero than actually helping. This is where things get interesting. The people who were once clapping, cheering him on, start getting mad, really mad. Because, yeah, he's technically doing good things, but not without that giant banner with his face again, screaming, "Look at me, I'm the hero." And if you dare say anything, oh, they're just jealous, Krabs says. Even the Krusty Krab is not about the food anymore. It's a shrine to Mr. Krabs' ego. It's the cool place to hang out. Not because of the fries, but because Krabs is turning it into his own personal monument.
How long do I have to stay like this?
As long as you keep wanting to sell this many patties.
Does Mr. Krabs even care about running a good business anymore? Or is he now seeking the validation he never had? Validation from his darker past. Without Plankton, Mr. Krabs never had the chance to build deep friendships. Growing up, he was poor, so now he's obsessed with success, becoming the richest, most powerful creature in Bikini Bottom.
Yeah, where'd you do your clothes shopping, the trash can?
'Twas true.
There you go, son. Your outfit's all finished.
Friendships took a back seat as he pursued wealth and status, leaving little room for genuine connections. This is why, now that he has all this free time and resources, he tries to insert himself into the lives of those around him, especially SpongeBob and Squidward. They may be his employees, but in Krabs' eyes, they're more like pawns in his ego-driven game. He sees SpongeBob as a tool for validation, eager to bask in his cheerfulness and charm, and it's almost scary to know that this is kind of the same in our world. A pushy boss, uncontent with their life, looking for power and validation. Let me know if you ever knew someone like this. Squidward, on the other hand, is a bit more difficult to charm, but Krabs still pushes himself into Squidward's life. This need to be included in their lives is not about actual friendship, but about making himself feel needed. And yet, these awkward attempts to forge real bonds only end up pushing people away even further. This is where the real downfall begins. One day, Mr. Krabs, feeling rather bored and with his pockets stuffed with cash, decides that SpongeBob needs a home makeover for being such a good fry cook. While SpongeBob is off working, Krabs sneaks into his house with a crew of construction workers and proceeds to rip everything out. The sentimental pictures, the cozy furniture, even the prized shell collection SpongeBob's been curating for years. He replaces it all with impractical items like a golden boatmobile, a jellyfish garden filled with stinging jellyfish that he insists will be great for the ambiance, amongst other unnecessary material things. By the time SpongeBob gets home, he's filled with multiple emotions: gratitude, confusion, and then frustration. The living room looks like a carnival on a bad day. Krabby Patty inflatable chairs, an in-house playground for Gary, and neon signs flashing Employee of the Month everywhere. SpongeBob, the people pleaser, gives it a look, and well, it's a lot. He doesn't complain though, and tries to relax anyways. But suddenly, bam, jellyfish sting him from every direction. It's a disaster. "Mr. Krabs," he finally yells, with an unusually sharp voice, as he scans the mess one more time. "What did you do to my house?" He then points to the boatmobile. "I don't even have a driver's license, Mr. Krabs." Mr. Krabs, thinking this is just another instance of SpongeBob's usual playful antics, smirks and waves his claw. "Oh, it's all for you, lad, to make you the happiest fry cook in Bikini Bottom. A little bit of luxury never hurt anyone, eh?" But SpongeBob is not buying it this time. Luxury? He takes a step forward, with his patience completely worn off. "You completely ignored everything I actually like. All my memories, my things, everything that made this place mine is gone. I loved my home the way it was, Mr. Krabs, and you turned it into your personal playground." Krabs' smile fades for just a moment, but it's quickly replaced with his usual defensive tone. "I thought I was doing something nice, SpongeBob. You should be thankful for all this." SpongeBob angrily sends Krabs home so he can try to fix this mess as soon as possible. For the first time in a long while, Krabs is stunned. There's no applause, no gratitude, just an angry, disappointed SpongeBob standing before him. With a wounded ego, Krabs goes to visit someone who knows SpongeBob better than anyone, Patrick. He's convinced that he's done nothing wrong and needs some reassurance, so he knocks on Patrick's door. I tried to help SpongeBob, and he got all mad at me," Krabs says, his voice rising with frustration while he explains the situation. "I gave him everything he could ever want. What did I do wrong?" Patrick scratches his head, then asks, "Well, did you actually ask SpongeBob what he wanted, or did you just give him stuff? Maybe he isn't grateful because you didn't really listen to what he needed." But all Krabs hears in his own egoistic, disillusioned mind is that SpongeBob is just ungrateful. He mutters under his breath, "If he doesn't want my help, maybe I should just find someone else who appreciates it." With that, Krabs stomps off, deciding to pay Squidward a visit. If SpongeBob won't be grateful for his generosity, maybe Squidward will. Because to Krabs, the only thing that really matters is being seen as the hero, no matter who he has to screw over along the way. Little does he know that doing that would have a completely different effect than he intended. To be fair, Krabs is just looking to be admired, but his grand gestures don't land quite the way he expects. He wants to be seen as a hero, the one who swoops in to solve everyone's problems, but lately, he's the one everyone's running from. Squidward's finally given a shot at his dream performance, a clarinet recital that could make or break his artistic career. He's worked for weeks, preparing for the big night, hoping to gain respect from potential artistic connections. But here comes Krabs, who decides he wants to support Squidward. But he doesn't just show up, though. Oh no. Krabs takes over the entire event. He orders for confetti and balloons to be poured on Squidward in the middle of a set, and Squidward sucks some of it into his clarinet and gets choked. Squidward's big moment is ruined, and his hopes to finally do something fulfilling for once is crushed. All by this egoistic act of Krabs. Instead of impressing important people, he's been utterly embarrassed. Krabs tried to make it up to him by getting him an invite to showcase his abstract art at an exclusive art exhibition, because he believes everything can be bought, even forgiveness. But for Squidward, this could be his chance to finally earn the respect he deserves, surrounded by critics, buyers, and potential fans. Again, Mr. Krabs isn't content to let Squidward shine. He's there, throwing out money to buy every single one of Squidward's pieces. He would claim he's helping Squidward out by making him richer, but deep down, he's just happy to flex his wealth, dominating the event with his ridiculous spending spree and making it all about himself instead of Squidward's work. People at the exhibition aren't talking about Squidward's art. They're asking Krabs for restaurant deals, hoping to get in good with him. Nobody else even got a chance to look at Squidward's work because Mr. Krabs bought it all. Instead of gaining respect as an artist, Squidward is left feeling like an invisible servant, stuck in Krabs' constant shadow, even falling deeper than before. This humiliation is the final straw for Squidward. He's fed up. He can't get ahead while Mr. Krabs is constantly getting in his way. The only way Squidward believes he can finally escape Krabs' ego-driven influence is by beating him at his own game and creating his own classy upscale restaurant. One that can rival the Krusty Krab in prestige and respect, starting with stealing the Krabby Patty formula. The thought of launching his own restaurant, free from Krabs' ego and interference, ignites something in Squidward. He knows that to compete with the Krusty Krab, he needs to outshine Krabs in every way possible. But he also knows that Mr. Krabs is never far from the vault that holds the prized secret. To pull off his plan, Squidward needs to be clever. The ever-cunning Squidward comes up with a devious scheme. He convinces Mrs. Puff to go on a date with Krabs, casually mentioning how Mr. Krabs can't stop talking about her, building up a fantasy of a romantic evening full of luxury and excitement. He paints a picture of Krabs being completely in love with her, and how he wants to change her life for the better. Intrigued and flattered by the attention, Mrs. Puff reluctantly agrees, imagining a grand fairy tale-like experience with Krabs.
Good evening, me dear. May I say you look lovelier than a stack of 20s.
Oh, Eugene.
Now you just relax, Puffkins, while I consult with me very expensive private chefs.
On their date, Krabs is more interested in throwing money at Mrs. Puff than actually getting to know her. He brags about yachts, mansions, and how much he can change her life, completely ignoring her attempts at conversation. Mrs. Puff grows increasingly frustrated as Krabs pours more cash on the table, believing that money is all that matters. Is there more to the date than this? She asks. But Krabs just brushes her off, feeling proud of his generosity. Meanwhile, Squidward sneaks into the Krusty Krab, using the distraction to slip past Krabs' vault. As Krabs continues his self-centered show, Squidward moves closer to his goal, the Krabby Patty formula. When she's had enough, Mrs. Puff stands abruptly, her chair scraping harshly against the floor. Without a word, she turns and walks away coldly, leaving Mr. Krabs staring after her in shock. He hadn't expected this. "Wait, Mrs. Puff," Krabs calls out, scrambling to catch up, and his voice filled with desperation. "I didn't mean it, please." But she won't stop. Her steps are steady and unwavering. Krabs stands there, his shoulders slumped, defeated. The weight of his actions hit him hard. He had tried so hard to impress her, but all he had done was push her away. Back at the Krusty Krab, with the formula in his grasp, Squidward stands in the vault with the formula, wrestling with a deep, bitter irony. The thing he has wanted for himself, Krabs' attention, his success, is nothing but an empty prize. He may have the secret formula, but it won't give him the respect he's always wanted. He has no interest in running a restaurant. He wants to be an artist. And the realization strikes him harder than any failure. The more he tries to outdo Krabs, the more he becomes just like him, desperate for admiration and willing to trample over others to get it. But just then, Krabs bursts in, crying from his date. He spots Squidward and freezes, realizing that he's been played. Double the heartbreak for this guy. Squidward's anger finally gives way to something far more painful: regret. For the first time, he sees the vulnerability in Krabs' actions. The need for control, for adoration, is born out of a fear of being forgotten, of being alone. Squidward, formula still in hand, looks at him, conflicted. The rivalry, the competition, the need for validation is all just distractions, pushing people away from what really matters. Krabs is right there, vulnerable, like Squidward never expected him to be. The formula, for all its power, is meaningless at this moment. In one last surprising moment of kindness, Squidward puts the formula down, pushing it back toward Krabs. He doesn't say anything at first, but as he leaves the vault, he turns back and speaks softly. Maybe it's time you stop trying to save everyone, Krabs, and start listening to them. The ego that once fueled Krabs' every move faded into the background, replaced by a quieter, more fulfilling purpose. True connection, and a reminder that true success isn't measured by wealth or recognition, but by the bonds we form and the lives we impact. Squidward may still have his dreams of art and recognition, but now he knows that it's not worth sacrificing who you are just to win. Krabs, with the formula in hand, looks at it one last time. The chase for validation has ended, and a new path forward begins, for both of them. In the end, the formula stayed locked away, no longer a symbol of his power, but a reminder of what he almost lost: the chance to truly connect. Click on the screen for other Bikini Bottom what ifs and comment your favorite what if in the comment section below. See you next time.